Hello, hello, Kalu, Kalay, how are we doing today? Also, thank you very much for following TDK. Let me... Boom, there we go. I set up these goddamn alerts for a reason, so I'm gonna play these alerts. You cannot deny me my alerts, damn you. Hello, hello, as always. Today we're going to be working, obviously, on a little bit of, Fear and Hunger, obviously. We like Fear and Hunger. Imagine getting alerted. Yes, we're going to be working on Fear and Hunger some more. Over the weekend, I sat down and said, fuck it. And I decided to do all of the archetypes. They're not perfect yet. I need to kind of, like, switch things around and alphabetize some things. But yes, there are a number of different archetypes that you now can play. Congratulations. You want to play Dan? You can play Dan. Hey, you want to play Pav? You can if you want. Nothing's going to stop you from playing Pav. There's like 6 different ways to make Karen, if you want to make Karen. But yes, this took way too long to do, but it's there. 8 different archetypes for you to take the role of. Many different ways. Funger time? Yes, it is Funger time. When this is, you're going to pitch it to the Fear and Hunger creator, and I think they'd be interested. He actually knows about this game. Fun fact, he does know about it. I pinged him forever ago. Let's see. Yes. Yes. Works. But yeah. Oh, Funger 2, I see. But yes, no, it's, I will probably, when it's done, I'll probably add him. He did like the post. He did talk about it a bit. I'll throw it at him again, being like, hey, I updated this game finally. It is a thing that now exists. You can now play Fear and Hunger 2 Termina in it. I spent too long on this, God help me. Yes, TDK, Funger 2. Yo, listening to Bosnian Yugoslavian war music hits different. Yeah, it does. They do hit different. Yeah, Fear and Hunger, the main impetus of this was updating it to Fear and Hunger 2. Because you kind of have to. I mean, that's the sequel. And that does imply that I'm going to need to invest in guns. Lots of guns. Get ready for the gun o'clock. Oh god, that's not how my back is supposed to feel. Oh. For clear the game or complete new people, the Stinger combat, or somewhere in between. Generally speaking, you can go into this game with very little knowledge about Fear and Hunger, and you're gonna know what's going on. You can play it pretty easily. I actually did add a brief rundown of like, what's Europa? What's the old and new and ascended gods? But I even kind of like outright say like, it's not really about like remaking the game. That's not the point. The point is to create the feeling of the game. Claustrophobia, it's dangerous, it's hostile to anything existing. You can go really deep into the lore if you really want, but you don't need to. Things are a little bit different, quite a bit. You have your fears as your main attributes, of course. You got your hope. There should be hopes. There are things that are slightly different. Again, if you have no experience with Fear and Hunger, you are going to be able to play this. It's effectively going to play kind of like an OSR game with just more limb loss. A lot more limb loss. Just a ton more limb loss. If you've played Fear and Hunger before, or at least know the idea behind it, you're going to get a little bit more... You're going to probably get a little bit more out of it. Like, things are going to be like, oh, I know what to make here. Or, oh, I want to play Tanaka. Everyone... If you want to make an entire party of just various versions of Tanaka, you totally can. And I'm not going to stop anyone doing that. If you want to kind of do your own thing, that's fine. You just want the original game, that's fine. You want to do something completely different, I'm not going to stop you. That's kind of the idea, though. if you want to deal with that, you can. If you don't have to. Various small changes. Generally, I kind of organize things to make it a little bit easier to understand. So yes, all archetypes are complete. And that is a third of the book effectively done. We just need to rewrite a lot of these things. So get ready for game devin time, everyone. Woo! It's devin time. There's nothing really more interesting to say than that. I think the biggest problem is that Total War Pharaoh, it has that it's okay Total War game that doesn't lean hard enough into the fact that it takes place in Egypt and Great Collapse. The truth, I think they need to go further than that. They did, and it's going to kill it, along with people say angry that it's not Empire, Medieval, or Three Kingdoms. Yeah, that's kind of the issue with Pharaoh, Total War. It was a game that was going to satisfy no one. I think that was its main sin. It was a Total War game for no one, and no one was happy with it. Astounding. Actually, during their delve into darkness, the tormented, the tormented will bleed. Their bodies will be racked with injury, and bloody scars of every conflict. Their minds cracked under the pressure. Their minds cracked under the pressure of the oppressive dungeons, of the oppressive dungeon space. Each trauma builds on top of one another in a series of terror. Each trauma builds on top of one another. Survive their haphazard and ill-conceived quest. The tormented will feel pain, suffer loss, and drag their broken bodies to the end of this hell, or die trying. Do Dungeonscape. Go. Meat on the bone. So, let's learn. Oh, Pharaoh didn't do anything revolutionary or unique that isn't in my other games in some way. Like it had more in-depth management of towns, the royal family, and such near CK3 level. Or at least some vein, it could be at least something, it's just there. Yeah, I think one of the issues that Total War has always had is that it keeps trying to go for that like grand strategy market. Because Paradox makes a shit ton of money off that grand strategy market, and it's never quite able to do that because they don't really emphasize its main benefit. But that's just kind of the nature of the beast. I think it's just I think it's just people with a lot of money being like, "Oh God, what do you mean we aren't making the game we're known for?" The human body is composed of multiple limbs that allow them to function. Two arms, two legs, a torso, and their head. 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, and their head. Each one plays a pivotal part in their survival. as the tormented delve into the dungeon, delve further into the dungeon. They will encounter more beings with additional limbs, weapons and extremities that to wish to tear them apart. Every entity has health, which how do I want to do that? Yeah, no. Every entity has health, which represents their let's see. Every entity has health, which represents their total vitality and ability to keep pushing forward due to injuries. Every body part of this health is divided among their body parts. Divided among their limbs, represented by body damage. Which reflects the limb's current state and usability. Hey, I got my head chopped off. Doesn't matter how much health I have, I'm dead. Let's see, 20. So that would be 60, 70. It's 200. Every humanoid, actually I should say every mortal humanoid character, every humanoid has 200 health, divided among their body part, divided among their limbs, which allow them should their health reach zero, they have perished. If a body part, if a limb, if a limb's body is reduced to zero, it is considered to be crippled, unusable until it's considered to be crippled, imparting terrible effects upon the imparting inflictions upon the when a limb reaches negative body in damage. When a limb reaches negative is its total body negative, which is negative its total body 34 an arm, so negative 30. body of a limb reaches 0, two things may. It will either be severed or destroyed. Severed or destroyed. A severed limb. A severed limb is removed from the tormented as suffering the consequence of such an event. A destroyed limb. Actually, no. Should we use crippled or destroy? I'm gonna use crippled. A crippled limb cannot be used properly. Or results in trauma. Or results in horrific trauma toward the tormented. Every point of body damage is health damage. Every point of body damage is health damage, but some damage, such as poison, and some magic, poison and magic directly target a tormented's health, resulting in there we go. We kind of do this a little bit more. We do actually. A severed limb is removed from suffering the consequences of the a severed limb. Severing a limb requires an edged weapon. Yeah, let's say requires a. Actually, no, we'll do sharp. No, we'll do requires an edged weapon. Severing a limb requires an edged weapon. And removes the limb entirely. Comma with the tormented suffering the consequences. A crippled limb cannot be used. A crippled limb occurs when a blunt weapon is used to when a blunt weapon is used, and the tormented cannot use it properly. Not use the limb properly. And imparts horrific conditions upon them. Okay, so dun. What's the reference in this called? I literally call it the Void. The Void is the voice of the inner dungeon. Because the main gimmick of this game, arguably, TDK, is I got very autistic about this, and I decided that this must be the way I do things. I have a random dungeon creator. Literally, you just roll a bunch of dice with the idea as the voice in the inner dungeon, you just kind of roll randomly to just make dungeon floors, because things are changing constantly. That's one of the main gimmicks, is that you're just randomly creating dungeon floors just to simulate the idea of, because in the original Fear and Hunger, I don't know if they do it in Termina, is in the original Fear and Hunger, what would occur all the time is every time you enter, there would be points that are fixed, be kind of like anchor points, but there would always be a few rooms and things that would be randomized. You don't really know anytime you enter into some locations what was actually going to be in there. So I said, hey, let's try to mimic that, because I'm completely autistic, and I was like, this needs to occur. So I did. How do I want to do this? Okay, so... We can be very elegant about this, or we can be very not elegant. So actually, let's do head. So if we do something like this, maybe. Head, 20 body. The most important section of a human being and most creatures. The head houses the brain, the senses, and to some the soul, destroying it is an ideal outcome for destroying it is an ideal outcome for almost every battle. You can rest assured is that, hey, there's a problem. What do we do with it? Let's just beat its skull in, and it'll probably die. Because, as Shiro Emiya did teach us, people die when they are killed. Coin flip. Brain damage or concussed. Coin flip. Brain damage or concussed. Severed. Instant death. Gut. 50 body. Because yes, we do have coin flips. Effectively, what you do with this is you say, hey, I want to make a coin flip. And you say, all right, gamer, what do you want to... What are you calling? I want concussed heads. Uh-oh, you got brain damage. Just beat your fucking skull in. Housing all of the internal organs, housing all of the valuable internal organs of a creature, the guts of mankind. Make sure they are able to survive and able to live a long life. Being gutted is a fate is a being gutted is a quick mm, 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 mm. Mm. Crippled, you just get severe organ damage, agonizingly slow death. Severe organ damage is actually very bad. Mm. I've only been watching my friends play tournament. I don't really know the randomized location, at least on day one. No, but you good? You sound like a broken record. I always sound like a broken record. I'm just tired. That I'm somewhat trying to save my voice here a little bit, because I have to do the Yazibas recording tonight. I've got the Yazibas video done, by the way. Here's the thing with the Yazibas video. I will open the Yazibas video. I will open the script for the Yaziba video. Because it is... The thing is with this one, is that I lose my goddamn mind halfway through this. There's a lot of things here that I want to talk about. I can usually get a good like way, like kind of a good look on things of like, oh, how long is this video going to be? I think this video is going to be about 7.5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. It'll be a longer video, I know that much. That we have the horror games video as well, and the horror games case this weekend. So I'm a little bit like, oh goodness. Shock, removal of limb. Yes, we're going to add shock mechanics, because of course we're adding shock mechanics. Left and right leg, because legs actually have a little bit easier to do thing. The left and right leg is able to walk, run, to walk and run. Actually, to move, let's see, a human, left and right leg, humans are able to move. Without one, they stagger. Without one, they stagger and limp. They stagger and limp. Without either, they'll be dragging themselves away, suggesting they don't bleed out. Crippled. Shattered bone, -3, base SR. If severed, unable to stand. Actually, should be shock, removal of limb, -5, base SR. That's your survival rating. That's effectively your AC. And in any other game, it would be called an AC, or to hit or whatever. It's just called that. There we go. Welcome to being a human being, otherwise known as getting your arms ripped off. It'll be fun for the whole family. Let's see. Let's do... When the tormented rest in a safe location. When the tormented rest in a safe location, they will restore all of their health. They'll restore all of their health to a maximum, all of their health and body to any offending, to any injured limb. However, the tormented rarely find themselves in safe havens when resting in dangerous locales. The tormented will recover. The tormented make an endurance judgment. If they are successful, they restore 3d6. They restore 3d6 body. They restore 3d6 health distributed to any of their limbs. If they fail, they will only recover 1d6 health. They'll only recover 1d6 health. Effectively, you want to rest in safe locations. Resting in safe locations, though, is not guaranteed. So, note that. Let's see, using any healing supplies. Using any healing supplies allows the tormented to choose which section of the body is recovered. If another is performing medical attention upon them, performing medical if another is attempting to heal them, they choose what body to restore. It's effectively, if you're resting in bad places, you're really not going to do that. But if you start chugging potions, then you get to choose what's recover. Hey, my leg's really banged up. I'm going to recover my body entirely to my leg. I might get scratched across, but mostly my leg. My friend heals me. He can say, hey, I'm healing your chest and both of your arms to full. You're getting more out of it, technically, to wait him, but he gets to choose. That's kind of the idea. You're still recovering the same amount, just who chooses what. Where's my side note? I made a specific thing about side notes and gave them very specific looks, so I want to make relatively consistent. So we're going to do that. Prosthetics. The tormented will lose limb. The tormented will lose limbs. Should this occur, they don't have a limb they don't have that limb anymore. Obviously finding a prosthetic maybe allows them finding a prosthetic allows them to regain some semblance of movement or ability with that particular limb, but they can be destroyed. Wheelchairs soon, TM. There's one character that's I would view as somewhat difficult to make, and that's Olivia. Olivia's difficult to make for one reason. She's in a fucking wheelchair. You don't think that's an issue until you realize, wait, she's in a fucking wheelchair. The game doesn't talk about it a lot, because generally speaking, where she is fairly flat. So she's able to do things relatively good, and she's able to move around with relative consistency. However, it's still somewhat complicated being in the fact of like, yes, what are you in? I'm in a wheelchair. Like, oh, all right, this is a problem. Okay, so let's get as the tormented delve into the dungeon, their minds will begin to fray as they encounter horror, as they encounter monsters and inhumanity. They encounter monsters, inhumanity, humanity, and the suffocating darkness. Man, what's your metal band called, Neopet? Suffocating Darkness. Each event chips away at a person only being drink, drug, or companionship, or can you narrow? Let's see, companionship, but each crack deepens. But each crack deepens the hold. Each crack deepens. Only thing left is until nothing is left except a husk of a person. Hello, music. Come back, music. I swear I'm not Google. Google, please. Onyo. Crime until nothing is left except a husk of a person. Human characters have a maximum. Mankind has a maximum of 100 mind. Mental state and stress, allowing them to push themselves further and endure mental fatigue of slowly dying. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Every fear comes in many shapes, and each fear comes in many shapes and sizes. But actually, how do I want to word this? No, we'll put it as a side note. Fear comes in many shapes and sizes. At first, every tormented will begin. Actually, every tormented will begin with a phobia. A little fear. fear that haunts them from their past, or raw instinct, or instinct. This phobia, their phobia resides over them, even if they don't think about it. When subject to a phobia, they have -2 to all actions until it is destroyed. They escape, or it leaves. However, phobias can develop. Actually, first encounter. Let's see. The first encounter with a phobia. Every encounter with a phobia is has the tormented lose 1d6. Every encounter with a phobia has the tormented lose 1d6. Every first encounter with a phobia has the tormented lose 1d6 mind. Lose 1d6 mind. But as the tormented's mental state begins to dwindle, so will their fears become exasperated. At 50 mind, the tormented must make a choice. They may either upgrade a phobia, or take a new phobia. Upgrading a phobia. And intensify phobia. Actually, so it's phobia synonyms. Tell me more about phobias. Let's see. Choice. I may either intensify a phobia or take a new phobia. They may intensify a phobia, or let's see. Intensifying a phobia doubles all of the effect. Increases. Actually, here's what we can. When in doubt, add a table. That's my belief. So we want to do. It's a phobia. It's a fear. It's a terror. It's a horror. It's a. Anxiety. Like we're horrible fear. Word. What's a good horrible fear word? Dread. There we go. Phobia. -2, 1d6, -4, 2d6, 6, 3d6, -8, 4d6, -10, 5d6. Intensifying a phobia moves it up to become an anxiety, then dread, horror, and finally a terror, Then it becomes more of a pronounced fact of the tormented's existence. A phobia of a phobia of women would make a tormented, jittery around them, but nothing more. A terror of women would have them immediately run away should they be forced to encounter one. I could probably actually we'll do anyway, we'll do dogs. This isn't saying anything, this is just me making a point. Let's see. Adding more phobias increases the likelihood of encountering them in the dungeon, furthering the small decreases in mind when constantly. Having a phobia of everything is just as bad as being terrified of one thing. And we do big table. We need to do it as 4. What are you? What size are you? 0.5. 0.5. I'm not responding to something. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just very focused. Random list of phobias. The random list of shit you're terrified about. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to take all of this. We need to shrink it down. Can we shrink it down even for maybe? Or we can increase the size back up to 12. We have the random list of phobias. And We love the random list of phobias, phobias, phobias. Yeah, some of them I will... Part of me is like, I need more horrifying phobias. Gynophobia. Fear of the darkness. Fear of the dead. Fear of medication. Fear of ghosts. Fear of fire. Fear of religion, which is kind of bad. Fear of magic. Fear of sleep. Fear of monsters. Of animals. Not every fear is built the same. Let's see, so... Let's see, back from breakfast, what I missed. Nothing. We just were going over a list of things we are scared of. We finished how mind works, we finished how getting our limbs severed off. Technically, we only have 20 fears. Let's see, I mean... Do they add any new phobias? Actually, let's see. Let's see. Okay. That's already more phobias than the game. No, yes. So, shit, womenphobia. Yeah, gynophobia. Gynophobia does exist. Yes, there are quite a few different phobias that in the game, because in the game, they obviously don't want to give you, like, useless phobias. But as a GM, you can play with phobias a lot more. I don't like going to sleep. I don't like being... I don't like magic. I don't like this. So let's, let's play a game. Random phobias. Tell me more about random phobias. Not weird phobias. Just... random phobias generator. Just give me a bunch of phobias. Give me 4. Give me 5. Let's see. So we've got 20 so far. We've got 20. If we can get 20 additional ones, we can have just 2 charts effectively. So let's see. So, fear of cooking. Fear of cooking is kind of interesting unto itself. Let's Let's see. There we go. Of imaginary crimes. Let's see. Fear or hatred of music. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia. Of public, open, or not safe safe locations. Anthrophobia, fear of people or society. Bottom text. Fear of toads, fear of comets, fear of accidents, dysfunctionophobia, fear of accidents. Many accidents can occur in a dungeon, can't they? Fear of materialism, fear of epilepsy, fear of writing, fear of your stepmother, fear of heights. That's a good one. We like fear of heights. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, we just got fear of darkness. Do I not have fear of darkness in there? That would be weird if I didn't. No, I don't have fear. No, I do have fear of darkness. We don't need that one. Carnophobia. Actually, fear of meat. What's that? Fear of meat. Carnophobia. Actually, fear of mysophobia. Fear of being dirty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we just need 11 more. Let's see. Fear of bats, fear of hair, fear of undressing in front of somebody, fear of being ridiculed. Fear of being ridiculed. Actually, let's actually check. Is this the correct one? Nosophobia. Actually, fear. Actually, so fear of serious medical conditions. Fear of having a serious medical condition. Very different. Fear of parasitic worms. Actually, do we have fear of bleeding? What's the fear of bleeding? Hemophobia. Fear of blood. Fear of bleeding. Actually, fear of blood or bleeding. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15. Echophobia. That doesn't sound quite right. Fear of ugliness. Fear of ugliness. Literally me. Fear. Do I have phallophobia? I don't have phallophobia. Phallophobia, fear of penises. I'm going to fap, bye. Hello. Tychophobia, fear of being observed by a duck somewhere. Oh god. It's hematophobia? Is there a fear of skill issue? An abnormal, yeah, we can work with that. I'll go with hematophobia. There's a lot of words that mean the exact same thing. It's great. Actually, I mean, we already have. I believe I have fear of failure. Yeah, this is literally fear of skill issue. If you must know, it is the fear of failure. Let's see. So yes, you do have the fear of skill issue. Fear of duck may be watching you. Yeah, fuck it. We'll put that one in there as kind of a meme one. Fear of a duck may be fear of a duck that may be watching that. Like, do you realize how paranoid, like how much of a dick a GM can be? Being like, yeah, there's a duck now. Oh. Canophobia? Wait a second. Actually, no, canophobia. Fear of Germany or the German culture. Let's see. Fear of freedom. Fear of going to bed. Fear of heredity. Drugs. Actually, no. Fear of drugs. No. Fear of... I don't want to call a national fucking helpline. No, fear of drugs phobia. What's the phobia fear of drugs called? Is there one for like different for hard drugs? No, I don't. Yeah, so it'd be pharmaphobia. We already have pharmaphobia. Fear of Jews, fear of metal, fear of atomic explosions. Fear of defecation? No. Fear of Bolsheviks? No, I have that already. Right? No, I don't. I'm gonna regret Googling this. Wait. Autophobia, fear and hunger. Is that a thing? Do I not have erotophobia? No, I do have erotophobia. Okay. Of course, I've got erotophobia. Of course. Let's see. As he is writing the game, ascending to as his writing on the game and ascending to new godhood. Not bad. He replaced German by nationality of the setting. Fear of the dark. Surely this phobia. Actually, we can do actually that's not a bad one. Xenophobia, fear of another state or fear of another state or ideology. Okay, so let's Let's do some. We've got a few new terrible things to be afraid of. I told you we were going to be adding things to be spooked by, be terrified by. Truly, welcome to my deep, dark dungeon. Welcome to my deep, dark fantasies. Fear of public or safe, or not safe locations. Fear of accidents. Fear of heights. Again, remember this. The thing is, it's one of those bits as well to be like, hey, go after their fears. Haunt their fucking fears. Find them. Hurt them. Things scare the shit out of them. We don't want to deal with the thing that scares me. Scary things are scary. I know, this is a weird and wacky world we live in. Scary things are scary. Let's see. That would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we need 2 more fears. 2 random fears. 2 random fears. Tell me things that I'm fucking scared of. Fear of numbers. Fear of money. Fear of the color yellow. Let's see. Where was? Actually, that would actually not be a terrible one. Fear of children. Not having children, just children. That's a... Maybe not that one. What's fear of a color? Chromophobia. We'll do chromophobia. Chromophobia works. This is just fear of a color. Actually, if we want to be really specific, xenophobia. Xenophobia is actually very appropriate because of the yellow priests. Fear of the color yellow. Fear of the color yellow. And if we want to be real specific about things, we can be very specific about things with this one, which is very funny in its own right. The fear is real. A duck is watching. Fear of guns. Fear and guns would be a good one. Actually, we can do no, I don't want any. No. Fear of weapons word. Hoplophobia. Hoplophobia. Use fear of weapons used by others. Let me just put that note in there. Make sure we don't completely just like fuck characters over. Be like, sorry. You're scared. You're scared of literal actual weapons, so you can't use any weapons now. Aha, Lamau. We want to, in the header row, we want to sort that. We want to repaste that. Take all of these, put them over here. Okay, there we go. Adding more phobias. Should a tormented reach zero mind, they develop panphobia. They develop panphobia. The fear of everything. They it takes the it takes the largest. It takes the currently highest ranked, highest intensity. Takes the currently highest intensity fear and replaces it with panphobia. At this point, every single thing in the dungeon will prompt a roll on the chart. Will prompt a roll. Actually, will prompt a pretty much anything you do, you're going to be lowering your fear. So there's 2 notes I want to add here. Technically I should do this. Which room do we have? I'm gonna put 1 down here, and then I'm gonna put 1 note up here, and this note's gonna be fairly important up here for a very particular reason. I'm going to put the when encountering a terrible event, a situation considered scary, when a situation is when a situation prompts check of a phobia, the tormented may be able to make a humanity if it is caused by a person, or an occult if caused by supernatural means, to resist it. If they do, they will only reduce their mind by half the value, but still keep the penalty. This should be only This should only be when they have time to process and prepare for their phobia, not random encounters with one. That's kind of the idea. Like, if this is kind of like I'm just encountering something, like I'm kind of like leading up to it, especially with just phobias, that's going to be different. But the side note below, where I get to make a bigger note, The bigger note down here is what I'm going to call the human fears. The human fears, I'm just going to put a big note here, which is going to be... I'm just going to do... there are things that are naturally scary for anyone. Good God, Tanaka's face is getting eaten by a giant gibbering monster. Fuck. Effectively, the idea behind the human fears is that there are things that are naturally scary that you don't need a phobia for. You don't need a phobia of, oh god, someone I actually care about's getting sacrificed to an elder god. Yeah, I'm not going to have you, it's not going to be like, I don't have a phobia for this, it doesn't really count. No. We're not worrying about that. That's not the point. The point is, oh no, something really bad's going on. How do we fix it? Or how do we, get out of this? Wow, gang, how do we get out of this wacky situation? This is not designed to fuck you over. This is designed to make sure that you enjoy your time in the dungeon of fear and hunger. Mm-hmm. Watched by ducks and linked to the crow mauler's cousin, the duck fighter. Sociopath, humans' fears caused by actions inflicted by others. See, the thing is, it would be like, yeah, if someone's like, I rolled the funny duck phobia, and you said like, ha 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 ha. See, that's, you know what that's doing there, Tuber? That's the GM taking a funny little, their funny little pencil and just writing down duck ? And just writing that little duck down, and then suddenly you're going to start seeing ducks a lot more. You're going to find a duck monster. You're going to find ducks in places you shouldn't. You're going to be looking through a drawer. Why does he have a duck plush? Why is there a duck outside that door? Yo, you're going to a pond? What's in the pond? A duck. There's a wooden duck. There's a duck statue. And it's just going to be this maddening experience of trying to find every duck in a location and just it going wrong. Being like, GM, you can't do this to me. I'm going insane because there's a fucking duck everywhere. And all you hear in the background is quack. Fear of comes the terror of a duck watching you. So welcome to the entire hunger system. Yeah, this is the hunger was not my So, the gnawing. Hunger and starvation. The tormented's greatest foe is rarely the beasts that lurk within the dungeon walls, but instead lurks within them. Hunger is always rapid. The twitching pangs of hunger are always creeping up on the creeping toward the tormented as their gut as their desire to eat outweigh as their desire to survive keeps them moving. The tormented need to eat, And the dungeon does not provide much outside moldy bread. Outside poison. Poison and outside poison. Let's see. When the tormented are moving around the dungeon, every room reduces their hunger by 5. Actually, the tormented have 100 hunger. 100 hunger represent 100 hunger. A full belly, and this is kind of going to be like a little bit of a weird tracking thing. We probably let's see, hunger system TGs are a good way to do hunger. Markburg, the only good one. 10 hours of white noise, occasionally interrupted by a duck quack. See, now part of me wants to keep the idea of being like, yeah, hunger's just falling. Every moment you're in the dungeon, hunger is falling. Anytime you move to a new room, that's a hunger. Your hunger is leaving. Anytime you need to do something, hunger is leaving. And it just is that slow gnawing sensation. Like you're realizing like we are going hungry very quickly. And we aren't going to be able to survive for much longer unless we giddy up and fucking go. So it's kind of the thing being like, make a call to go faster or go around a longer way that's going to be more expensive. Hunger being kind of like MP. Mine's already MP, unfortunately. It's kind of the idea is, yeah, like you can do everything costs hunger, but that just sounds weird and really bookkeepy. I don't want to do that much bookkeeping. We already got plenty of bookkeeping. Trust me, we've got plenty of bookkeeping. We're not being like, we aren't doing like red markets where to swing a fucking machete, I need to eat a rat. I need to eat a Snickers. Like, I want to avoid that. And there's got to be a good way to do hunger. I could just leave hunger for now and just come back. I could come back to hunger later. Because I thought like, yeah, this would be easy. Because I could just make it like a really bookkeepy way. And every room of the dungeon you enter, you lose 5 hunger. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, you know, like you're slowly losing hunger. And it's difficult to get it back. You know, you eat food, but if you eat food, that's going to kind of take away other things. It's kind of this big risk reward. Do I eat food now to recover my hunger? Or do I eat food later when I really need to eat it? But I can push it on. I might get something better. I might not get something better. Okay. Look. Do I use the thing I have now in excess, or do I wait later? That's why I'm thinking like, there's got to be a good... Let's go look. Let's go looking. Because in Fear and Hunger proper, like Fear and Hunger, Fear and Hunger, food. Let's just do food. Food restores hunger. Hunger is good. You want to stay alive. Restore 90 hunger. So if I go up to here. If you've noticed, it's a little difficult finding things. It's a little difficult sometimes finding things out about other issues. Like, Hunger System TTRPG. This is the Fear and Hunger RPG some guys made on Reddit. I looked into it. They used a botched version of another game. I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. I'll give you that. It's neat. You did something interesting. I wonder. I didn't really look too deeply into it. Homebrewed a bit. Let's see. Yeah, Hunger Zero, like, they use this, which is really actually a good idea, unironically. Like, it's not a bad idea. We did a very different way of approaching things, but we did a very similar ideas. I mean, there's got to be something, right? Like hunger systems outside. Look at Morkborg. So I want to do Hunger TTRPG. Fear and Hunger, Fear and Hunger, Fear and Hunger. At least it's not 5e. That's all you can really ask for, kind of. That's honest to God, that's all you can sometimes ask for. Hell, even fucking RPG Maker is like, yeah, no, it's bad. I don't know. I will look at this later and muse about it. But let's get Rage Against Death. Combat. The combat in the dungeon. Combat. The world is if the world, there would be no need for a dungeon. If the world was kind and simple, there would be no need for bloodshed. There'd be no need for bloodshed. As the tormented venture deeper into the heart of the dungeon and beyond, they will encounter very horrifying enemies that want to eviscerate or simply eat them. When encountering an enemy, the tormented must snap into action, draw their weapons, and prepare to fight for their lives. Dun dun. So, your survival rating. Actually, all characters have a survival rating. Survival rating SR, which determines the combatant's ability to dodge, resist, or to dodge attacks and avoid harm. A human being has a base survival rating of 20. Have a base survival rating of 20, meaning that to strike them in combat, the attacker will need to roll a 20 or higher onto their judgment. Every piece of life-saving armor. Every piece of life-saving armor will reduce the SR. Reduce the SR of the combatant. Trading the ability to avoid damage to resist damage. Trading the ability to avoid to resist. So, if a character were to get it, when a combatant is hit, they will assign damage to a limb of their choice, unless the when a combatant is hit, they will assign the damage to a limb of their choice, unless the attacker has an ability to specify the location. Unless the attacker is targeting a particular location, or hits every part of or their attack simply hits every part of them at once. Okay, so now we have to reassign things. So no, we explain survival rating right off the bat. Different quality of loss depending on your armor. Heavy, no, also cost 5 hunger depend on the action you took in that room. Yeah, it's hunger. I'm literally, yeah. I'll give a board game sensation then maybe. Like, yeah, that's gonna be one of those things where I need to kind of sit back and think about it a little bit. What? Not going to make a hit location table? Don't need to. Legitimately, you can just make an aimed attack, and it's super simple to make an aimed attack. Yeah, this is kind of a side, why is this a side note and why is it shit? Yeah, just make an attack against someone. It's not too complicated just to say, I'm going to tear your head off now. I want to attack your head. Welcome to, also welcome to 2021 Notepad, where he decided that everything must be bullet points because bullet points save lives, apparently. They don't. Yeah, I don't like having, like, random ones because technically in Fear and Hunger, there's no such thing as a random hit. You will always make a targeted attack at a limb. Everything is a targeted attack, just certain limbs are easier to hit than others. Chopping off a guard's arm is a lot easier. Hey, I gotta explain it, Spartan. Come on. Chopping off this is an actual mechanic in Fear and Hunger. The first guard you fight, most people's first guard they fight, the main thing what you should do is destroy their arm, destroy their leg, block so you don't get penis impaled, chop their dick off, and chop their head off. That's the actual, like, cycle you should do. Because if you kill the heads, they're dead. They automatically die. But the PP has no HP. No, it does not. Because weird thing to note as well about Fear and Hunger, a lot of parts that you can attack have 0 HP or like 1 HP because you're like any hit does it. That also technically means you have like 1 or 0 HP. Like a vast majority of your actual health on like your chest or whatever, that's just your body HP. Like you get hit in your chest, you don't like lose your chest obviously, you just take body damage. But it is easy to tear off people's limbs. Survival rating. So, turns and rounds. Okay, so. Where do I want to put things? So let's break this down. So we've got combat. Talk about survival rating, which is going to be our 2 hit. Currently, we have turns and rounds, which is structure, initiative, order, and then immediately into actions. I feel as though we can put actually, with initiative, we can actually expand to do I don't know what to call it, but the run up. So actually, no, we do this instead. So we determine where we are in initiative, and then we kind of are going to tell us where we're standing and stuff. Okay. I know what to do. So turns and rounds. Turns and rounds. Combat is split. Actually, I don't know what goes first should go first here. No, let's put turns and rounds before initiative. The turns and rounds, so we've put that there. We explain how initiative works, and then we have to put in I know this isn't the right word, but actually, hot shots in the melee. Then we go into turns and rounds. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit goofy. It's gonna be a little bit goofy, but we can do this. So initiative acts as a method for the initiative. Actually, no. We need to put initiative down there, which then puts turns and rounds at the start. So after that, we then go into this, but we need to rewrite how turns and rounds are. When combat begins, combat is divided into turns and rounds. In individual combatants, actions are considered their turn, with any effects pertinent to a turn resolves on their turn, resolves at the start or end of their turn, start or end of their turn. The round is the, actually I should do round, turn, considered their turn. Round is the summation of all of the combatants. Let's see, the round is a summation of all of the combatants. When the last combatant has ended their turn, the round officially ends. Effects such as poison and bleeding are on a per round basis. All of the reducing health, actually their effects occurring during the end of the round. During this time, before the next round begins. There's an issue I've been thinking about. It's rev points, because in Termina there's a mechanic called rev points. Ragnar, after losing his precious to the corner of a shelf, he had 1 HP in it. Yeah, now, the thing is, Termina has rev points. Now, rev points are a weird mechanic in the game where they don't talk about it very well, apparently. But if we see here, actually, okay. Now, you see these three right over here. They have rev points. Effectively, the longer you are in combat, every round you get another rev point, and you can use these rev points to do additional damage, to increase effects, use special abilities, and things like that. I have genuinely no fucking clue of what to use for these rev points, because they are a good idea. I have just no idea how to do them properly, because it would effectively be a combat currency. And for those who played that game, yeah, the thing is, what it would need to, there's two options here. Either one, I legitimately put in the meta currency, be like, hand out rev points to people. Start of every round, everyone gets a rev point. You can save them, you can wait on it, you can burn them. I don't know what you want to do, but you can use them to do things. You can also do option 2, which is effectively just do it kind of like the escalation die. If any of you have ever played 13 actions, if you have 13th age, effectively in 13th age, every single turn that goes by increases the escalation die. So it goes from D4, D6, D8, 10. You know, it's kind of like you're just doing more damage, you're doing more effects, you are clearly doing a lot more stuff as combat builds up. You know, kind of reaching, you know, you might start slow, but you might hit a crescendo later on. That's one option. Or I keep the current state of being where there just isn't anything like that, and you just don't. And the answer is, I don't do that at all. You know, maybe if you miss enough. Missing isn't like, generally speaking, I don't think it's going to be hard to hit people. Unless you are deliberately going for those like big hits against, like, I specifically want to rip your head off, or I specifically want to break your arm, or something like that. That's what I'm thinking of, like, let's see. Do we have someone available? No, we don't have anyone available. Zam. Well, the system was, but there was a game that increased the crit threshold, like round 1. It's not necessarily the acquisition of rev points. It's the, how do I represent it? Like, do I just like hand you a token? Do I like say, okay, everyone's going to have like a die that's going to like increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Why don't I just use a die? That works really well, actually. Yeah, we just use a die. Why shouldn't I do that? Yeah, that works perfect. I'm a fucking genius. Good job, team. We did it. We can just use a die. Just use a T6. Next round begins. The rev points by 1. So we actually need to do that. We put in the idea of rev points here. We do rev points. This is completely like a weird way of doing this. extra d6, or maybe increase the die size that goes on. Not necessarily like increase d6, but just like the number of points you have. Just like you have one, you know, like you have a d6 to track how many of these things you have. You start with nothing, then you say, hey, I am going to have 1 rev point that I can spend on something. I have 2 rev points that I can spend, 3, 4, 5, you know how it goes. The longer combat goes on, you're going to be able to increase that. I don't want to add much dice. I want most things to be resolved with like a handful of dice. Especially when it comes to like just making an attack. So there are actually some very specific things when it comes to like getting an advantage on a roll or something like that. There's very particular things. Because I am very autistic. Rev point. The tormented have one advantage over their many foes. Rev. At the start of every round, they will it will begin with 1. At the start of anyone, they will increase the amount of rev they have by 1. Start of every round, they'll increase the amount of rev they have by 1. They may use do a number of things in the midst of combat, but they allow the and deal and destroy their opponents. A rev. So if we do I'm just going to type some random things in here. Just maybe we can add an extra d6 to the damage of an attack. We want to do actually surge. Take another action this turn. Regardless of initiative. Move to the top of the initiative of that bracket. We do redirect. We'll do redirect 4. Actually, no, redirect 3. When taking damage to a limb, redirect the damage to another part of the body. Mm. Power and misery, power and misery. Mm. Mm. More damage up an attack. What would be another good? What would be another good one of power and misery? I think we need one for 4 and I think one for 4 and one for 5. Let's say actually no snap reaction, increase SR by +4 until the end of the round. Reduce the amount of damage taken by an attack by half. So it's kind of more defensive things, but it's like, hey, you can empower your blow, you can do flow state, redirect the attack. There's probably some more things that we can do. This is just kind of a, we're just writing something down for, let's see, mechanic of the system rather than tracking it. Maybe D4, therefore, and add your dice at the end. The result D4 might also work. D4 could work. No, we'll keep it with D6. With D6. Do you play test your games afterwards? I would like to play test my games afterwards. I've been legitimately trying to find a good way to run my games online now. After my lovely main group has decided to just play Pathfinder 2nd Edition from now on. My friends have decided to just be Pathfinder 2nd Edition fans, and that's agonizing, and I feel nothing but pain. I feel nothing but pain from this this state of being. So I've been trying to find a good VTT to playtest with people from the server. Easier said than done, I have discovered. Someone recommended Owlbear Rodeo. I thought that was just 5e, but I'll look a little bit deeper into it. Maybe I can find something I like. Maybe I find something I don't like. Depends on the situation. Force of Will is a good one. Ignore mind damage till the end of round. There's one, Vassal, technically. Actually, what we can do, reduce health instead of body. Reduce health instead of body of a save a limb, but hurt yourself still. Or one is stuck at, yeah, technically, like, TTS is probably like wargame VTT. I mean, for generic wargaming, map tool. People say Owlbear Rodeo, roll 20. Universal Battle 2, apparently. You want to play Universal Battle 2? Everyone just recommends just T20. Yeah, no, I've been looking at a few things, so I might move rev points down further. But let's do turns and rounds. We've got turns and rounds, then we move immediately into how do we determine initiative? Initiative at order in which the combatants will act in battle. At the start of every round, each of the combatants will determine if they are making a fast or dedicated action. Fast or dedicated, not dedication, or dedicated. I can probably come up with a better word than fast. Fast actions allow a single action to be used during the round, while a dedicated action allows 2 actions to be used or modify the properties of a single action. So when choosing if they're when the fast and dedicated initiatives are split. The fast and dedicated initiatives are split. All combatants. I'll probably have to reword this. All combatants with a fast action. With a fast action, will act before those with a dedicated action. The dedicated action. However, the order of operations of these actions are determined by the combatant's weight. Weight in equipment in ascending order. The lightest combatant will act first, while the heaviest acting last in the order. If someone were to ambush, they would immediately take an action of their choice before entering the initiative order as normal. Characters and monster. Any tormented who is undergoing shock. Any tormented who is undergoing shock, or any combatant who is undergoing shock, will have a secondary order of initiative. Shock fast, shock dedicated, acting after their respective variant. Respected variant due to the trauma they are currently suffering. The final order of initiative is fast, shock fast, dedicated, shock dedicated. Effectively, if you get your arm tore off, you're acting last. Like you're acting after everyone else, which is really bad, and you really don't want to get your limbs tore off. Because getting your limbs tore off are bad. This shouldn't be I don't know how many times I need to re-emphasize this small fact of life. Dying sucks. Dying makes you cringe. Don't be a cringe nene, baby. Learn how to dodge. Fear of being cringe. 5 red points, increase your initiative up by 1 step. That's a good one. Technically, I have, I kind of have initiative. I kind of have flow state. I guess we can do, that'd be actually a good one. We can probably make that 4. This is going to be a term nightmare. Move up in initiative position. You know, dedicated fast. You know, dedicated to fast. There's probably a better way of wording that, but that's what we're working with currently. So pot shots in the melee. Okay. That's what I kind of wanted. I want the idea. Most likely I'll end up, again, the rev points right now are very early and very theoretical. These can change. This is a big thing. The rev points can change. I'm most likely going to tie them into spells. And I'm most likely going to tie them into spells and things like that, because that is very appropriate. You know, burn your rev points instead of burning mind. Cool. It allows a character who is invested in those magic skills to use them more than once per combat kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. You've got rev points, burn rev points to do something. Hey, you can use a skill. You can use like a stunt or something to inflict a condition. Use rev point. Kind of like rev points are your do cool shit ability. That's the big thing. It's your do cool shit. We like rev points. Because the original combat was kind of a slap fight simulator of who got hit in the head first, kind of. So I want to give that a little bit better. I want to make that a little bit smoother on the tick. And I think it's going to be a presentation thing, so we're just we're playing around with that a little bit. Pot shots in the melee. This is the big thing I want to do. So, when two forces meet with there's a moment of drawing blades and rushing one another down. During these few moments of time, any character, any combatant with a ranged weapon on their person may use it to use a pot shot against the enemy. Using pot shots are ranged attacks. let's see. Pot shots are ranged attacks used against an approaching threat. An approaching threat. It's by bow, whether it's by bow or shot, whether it's by bow or shotgun. The difference is moot. Let's see, whether it's by bow or shotgun, the difference is moot. The idea is like pot shots is like a phase combat round where we're getting ready for combat. Everyone starts popping off shots. I have a bow. I'm gonna shoot my bow real fast. I have a gun. I'm gonna shoot my gun real fast. It's kind of that, like, they're rushing toward you. Everyone's drawing, and then you get into the melee. After the first round, the pot shot phase has everyone act in the fast. As everyone take a fast action. Take a fast action to prepare themselves, or shoot at an enemy with a currently held ranged weapon. After that, the melee begins. During the melee, there are three positions a tormented may be in: safety, rear guard, front, actually back, safety, back, and front. If they choose to be in the safety area. They cannot be targeted by any melee attack. By many melee attacks, but still may be threatened by ranged enemies. Let's see. They cannot be targeted. Actually, if they are in the safety area, they cannot be targeted by attacks. By any attacks. Let's see. If they choose to be in the safety area, they cannot be targeted by any attacks, as they are using the others as a shield. Shield, or are far enough back to most of the danger, and they may be threatened by certain weapons or monster, or they may be threatened by certain weapons or monsters, but they are protected. Actually, to have they always consider to have the guard effect upon them. They cannot target others for attacks, but always are assumed to have the guard attack. The guard action applied to them. Let's see. Always assumed to have the guard action applied to them, increasing their SR by 10. They are safe from most dangers. Most dangers in combat. Using the others as a shield. The back line. That's the last characters to use. Allows combatants. Actually allows the tormented to use to target others. Others with ranged attacks. Target ranged attacks, but not melee attacks. Let's see. Allow the tormented to target others with ranged. No, during the melee. No, fine. During the melee, all. Let's see. Can freely attack one another as they. This kayak move battlefield, avoiding blows, and attempting to get gored. And being gored by being gored. Let's see, the tormented or their enemies may try to move out of the melee into the back where they cannot be targeted by melee attacks. Where they cannot be targeted by melee attacks. But they cannot be targeted or use melee attacks. Targeted by or use melee attacks, comma. It's a situation where all allies inside of the melee, any tormented in the back, any tormented or any combatant. Any tormented in the back immediately rejoin the melee. Effectively, this is a somewhat variation. If you want to see some really weird inspiration here, what I want to get across is this is a weird implementation of the K18 system of how they do combat, especially Spell of the Black Magician. Because in Spell of the Black Magician, what occurs is the enemy says, I am a threatening enemy. I am rushing toward you. I'm going to attack you. You get the chance to fire off your bows. You get the chance to use crossbows, use any ranged magic, anything you want before combat begins. Blades are drawn. We start stabbing at one another. And we're Gucci. That's kind of the idea. And it does mean everyone gets into the melee. Oh, well, I'm a widow wizard. I shouldn't be in the melee. You are in the melee. I kind of want to get across the idea of like the line combat system almost they have in Fear and Hunger. Because you don't move around a map. As you know, it's not like a little strategy game where you're moving. It's not fucking XCOM here. No. What you're doing is you're picking points. And it's an RPG Maker game. You're standing in a line, you're beating the shit out of them, they're beating the shit out of you. It's kind of this is a way to try to do that. to try to get that without just strictly just making a line combat system, because line combat systems can get very hectic. If anything, I'll muse on this one a little bit. I might actually add in, if I'm feeling very persnickety, I could probably add in the way I did things in Crisis Center with the Vanguard position, just having that work. Pretty much the idea being like, you're going to put Marco up front because Marco's job is to punch the Elder Hordes beyond the colors of time out, while you're going to put Levi in the back. What's the problem of using Foundry VTT for your systems? I'm in no case affiliated with Foundry or Foundry VTT enjoyers. One, I have to buy Foundry. That's one. And I'm cheap, because I'm a poor motherfucker. I work on tabletop games, for God's sakes. And the other issue with Foundry is that there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. If you want to get all the toys and things to make Foundry work, it's okay. You have to use Foundry, but now you have to you got to set everything up in that regard. Like, oh, do you know coding? Do you have this setup? Do you have this setup? Do you have this setup? And it's like, by the time you have all that set up, you've pretty much made like your own little individual module for it. And little individual modules are there, and it's like, I'm not a coder. I'm not any of that. I'm not cool. I'd be making video games if I were. Want to borrow Mikey? It's not necessarily that. Like, that's the idea. It's not the idea that it costs money. Is there no module to use PDFs? It's the thing with Foundry, it's there was a lot of other things that go into it. Like, you can upload PDFs just fine, but oh, you want to use your tokens, and you gotta. I've used Foundry before. I'm not a huge fan of Foundry because there's a lot of layers to Foundry, and I'm retarded. I am clinically stupid. My brain is potatoes, and I know how to do math sometimes, and I'm not even that good at it. I am nothing but a big dumb motherfucker. It's great. Oh, Jesus. You can also put things in Roll20. I need to get Foundry working. Yeah. Like, I'm trying. I don't like Roll20. There's some things about Roll20 that's like, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me personally. I'm not a big fan of Roll20, like any variation of it. Yes, but FRI, I know. Most likely, I'll check out Owlbear Rodeo and see if that works. I am unfortunately not cool enough. Here's the thing, this is important. I am unfortunately not cool enough to have anything like that. Worst case scenario, I go to like Roll. Roll VTT is another one. Yeah, this is a play roll. This is the other one that there's we've looked at this before. We've actually gone over a handful of games here actually. This is Lancer Battlefleet. Pain. This is Bluebeard's Bride. Very interesting in all the wrong ways. This is Avatar Legends. Pain Incarnate. This is Chrome. Yeah, Chrome, which is Mothership but bad. Actually, I shouldn't even say Mothership but bad. It's just Mothership but boring. Like, really boring. Yeah, there is this option. There's a lot of things here. It's like, oh, you can make your own character sheet. I'm like, I do have someone who has an in. Yeah, Astro's one of those ones I kind of want to see. Time for map tool. Sorry, everyone. It's time for map tool. See, I wish I could just get everyone to just do tabletop sim, but tabletop sim sucks for everything, but I love it. Ooh. Oh. So, hello, it's me. Okay, this took a lot longer than I had planned. So, let's see, it's 9:40, fuck me. Wait, it's been 700 years. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call it here. I know, Wuso, you literally just showed up, but I've got the Yazeba's video to do. If things go according to plan, that video is going to be about 7 minutes. There is a distinct chance it will be longer. There's a distinct chance it will be shorter. It kind of depends on the situation. Oh, back to the BPL playing Dark Heresy, Lamau. But there's a few. I've been thinking, is Yazeba just jankier Fate? I really wish it was just easy to say that. Like, unironically. No one embarrass me with modules, blah, blah. Let's just go play table. Yeah, because I know tabletop sim. That's the thing. But I know tabletop sim. And I know how to wrangle it. I think that's the big thing. I know how to wrangle tabletop sim. I don't know how to wrangle other ones. Yazeba's is interesting. Because Yazeba's Yeezy's bed and fucking breakfast. The weird thing with Yazeba is that it is a role-playing game where you don't make a character. This is important. You don't make a character in Yazeba's. You play their characters. Sometimes you can do whatever you want with those characters. You cannot deny that it is a game. Exactly. I do know for a fact Yazeba's is a game. I do not know if it's a tabletop role-playing game though. And I do not know if it is. And I've actually been like struggling to think about that for a while. Ever since I did the stream on it, I've been thinking about that actually. It's been haunting me a little bit. I mean, like, what do I call this thing? It's not I don't call it a TTRPG because I don't think it is. That's the thing with it. I do not believe that Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast is a tabletop role-playing game. That is the first point. That is the first pin in this conspiracy fucking board. Do I think that it is not a like the Fate system is great among my friends who love RP, but I have a monkey brain. Yeah, I get that. Fate is for theater people who don't want to do theater. Yeah. You get it, Tuber. You really do get it. I don't know if you watched the video or not. It's a theater production. But there is gameplay. I struggle to call it that sometimes, but there is actions that occur with the input of a player with states that are not entirely victory. Because that's one of those weird points, is you can actually fail things. But then you also have let me bring it up. I'm just gonna bring up what I called it just to give you an idea of what I mean by this. You can optimize in Yazeba somewhat. The big thing with it is that there is a quantum nonlinear non-Euclidean dimensional time scale. This is very important. The quantum nonlinear non-Euclidean dimensional timescale effectively means things occur when things occur, but they may not also occur retroactively and also occur retroactively. Because what's supposed to happen, is there are episodes. There's 100 episodes in that game. 100. And there's 100 episodes. But these episodes are not labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. They're labeled like 13, 12, 8, 5, and 1. They're out of order. That's kind of the point. They're like, oh, it's kind of non-linear. But you can have situations occur which are a little bit interesting. Where, let's say, you have two characters who form a friendship. Now, these two characters have a friendship. Normally what occurs is you effectively staple that onto their character sheet now. These two characters have a friendship. If you can go to a future episode, they will still be friends. However, you can go to a past episode, an episode that occurred on the timeline of time, occurred earlier, and they would still be friends. Retroactively becoming friends. And my main case study for this is the Moon Prince. Moon Prince is a resident character. He's a main character, effectively. There are events that take place with Moon Prince. You need specifically to have him available. You have to unlock Moon Prince, though. This is very important. You must unlock Moon Prince to use some of these events. The strange thing, though, comes in the fact that you can now use Moon Prince in previous situations where he wouldn't have been there. You can retroactively add characters that do not exist to situations that happened previously. Okay, but you can also retroactively remove characters that might or should exist at certain time periods, because you can lose characters in that game. It is entirely possible to lose access to a handful of characters, actually. They're just gone because you've completed their track. And yeah, you can lose, technically you can lose a full resident. But the thing is, that's also strange, is because this is a legacy game. You gotta remember that, Tuber. This is a legacy game as well. And because it's a legacy game, the character, your Moon Prince, is going to be different from my Moon Prince, but we can both play the Moon Prince that has been influenced by another series of events. The same series of events, and we've now diverged Moon Prince to do two different things. Now we can effectively, every character is in a weird state of existing, not existing, being there, not being there, being important and not being important at the exact same moment. It is fucking bizarre. And when you start thinking at this scale, you start realizing that Yazabuz is not a game, it is a quantum nightmare. And because the thing with legacy games, this is going to be my big point here. The thing with legacy games is very simple, is that there is a linear set of time. I'm going to use Risk Legacy as an example. In Risk Legacy, if you fucking nuke France into the dirt, France is going to have a sticker on it. It's going to have a sticker that said, "This is dirt. There's nothing left here. The French are gone." And in a future game you play, if a new person comes in, they can see France is gone. They will inquire what happened to France, and they'll say, 2 games ago, we nuked France into the dirt. And they're like, shit. And then the game continues. A set time now has occurred, and now we have diverged that France has been nuked. And when, what, how everyone isn't, then nobody is. Exactly. Since there's no set timeline in that state of being. I was looking at Twitter. There's a fucking Class of 09 anime on YouTube right now. Yeah, it's great. So you have this weird state of entanglements where things occur and don't occur and never occurred at the same time. Because there's no such thing as precision. There's no such thing. It's a legacy game where you are distinctly encouraged to not obey the legacy. You see the grander mysteries of this game and why I am so I'm just watching Tuber just die eternally. Like, yeah, it's horrifying, isn't it? Like, Yazabas is a fucking, like, time cube tier bullshit. It's hysterical when you realize that Yazabas is a time cube and nothing good happens there. And everyone is trying to escape. And we should all be happy when someone escapes the fucking time cube. Infinite directions, infinite interpretations. Going forward and backward, never beginning, never ending, never starting, never... There is no end, there is no beginning, there is no up, there is no down. There simply is and is not, and not is not is. It merely is. That, yeah, again, there is a thing that is occurring. That is the best I could say. You begin a session, you end it 3 hours before. Effectively, because the thing is, you can play a character that someone else has played. There's nothing saying you can't play a character that someone else is playing outside like the bro code. But if you don't play Gertrude, half the scenarios don't work because Gertrude is literally the main character. So you end up in a situation where someone can't make it to session, but we need a Gertrude. What do we do? Do we play a scenario we already played that doesn't require Gertrude? Do one of us play Gertrude instead of this other character, other person? Yeah, Wuso, it's great. When I realized that I finally understood what Hey Kid is. You want to know what Hey Kid is, Wuso? Hey Kid is Abraxas. He's keeping them all there. My god. It all makes sense. He is one of the Trigons. We have to escape the cycle of guilt.